Do the Spurs need a little humility as the postseason is inching closer? And Wemby, well, he's the number one MVP candidate on the NBA MVP ladder. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Spurs in Focus right here on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. What else you got? Pocket Cast. Seriously, pick a platform. You can catch Spurs in Focus anywhere. And subscribe. Yeah, please subscribe here at the YouTube page or just wherever you get your favorite podcast. You'll likely find Spurs in Focus. I am Jeff Garcia, your host. Make sure to follow me on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. And as always, we thank you for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Keep on coming here every single day. What are we talking about today? You can see on your screen right now if you're watching on YouTube. If not, we're going to be talking about the Spurs and humility. Look, let's just put it this way. Spurs been steamrolling the competition, right? Yeah, just waxing Miami, destroying insert team name here, and they will likely wreck them. But the playoffs are inching closer. Perhaps they do need a little humility before the real season begins. We're going to debate that topic and then talk about Wemby getting to the number one spot in the NBA.com MVP ladder. What does that mean for him and his chances to get that award? Yeah, we're going to do it all here on Spurs in Focus. I'm going to bring in a guest. Now, it's been a long time. I mean, seriously, I've been wanting this guy to come on and talk with me all things silver and black for quite a long time, but we finally got our schedules to align. He's been gracious enough for me to bring me on his show, which is the Sunday Sports Rush on 1440 Keys AM out in Corpus Christi. But now it's time to return the favor. Let's go ahead and bring him on. The stage here is Mr. James Espinoza. Yes. Look at that, man. What's up, buddy?
It's good, man. It's good that we are actually talking face-to-face instead of over a phone line like traditional terrestrial radio. Love what you're doing, man. The Spurs in Focus. I know this is a new venture for you. I'm excited for you, and I'm thankful to be here, man. Thanks for the invite.
No, anytime. Like I said, it's been long overdue. I've been wanting to talk to you Spurs about, just with you in general, pick your brain, usually picking my brain. I'm going to return the tables on now and pick your brain about the silver and black. Again, he is Mr. James Espinoza. You want to follow him on X at Sir Edward James. Again, the host of Sunday Sports Rush, 9 to 11 Central Standard Time over on 1440 Keys AM out in Corpus Christi. He's going to brag about that show and so much more later on this episode of Spurs in Focus. All right, James, let's dive into it right now. Spurs, man, they're just steamrolling the competition, aren't they? I mean, you just like I said in the intro, insert NBA team name, and they'll probably just smoke them. That's how great the Spurs team is playing right now. I'm just looking at some of the scores of late. Beating Miami, as I mentioned, 136-111, not a contest. Beating the Bucks, 127-95, not a contest. Yeah. But James, that's good. They're taking care of business. But there's a thing called perhaps being too confident, perhaps having a little bit too much swagger. James, Spurs fans have been talking about this on social media, so let's bring it here now. Do the Spurs need a little ounce of humility? Do they need to take one on the chin just to kind of, bring them down to earth a little bit and maybe realize that, hey, you know what? Yeah, we got to come in with our A game every single game because look what just happened to us. James, where do you land on this discussion?
So this is a tough one, man. I've been seeing Spurs Twitter, Spurs X absolutely go nuts about it. And as they usually will, right? It's usually shocker. Everybody gets crazy on that social media platform, especially in the Spurs community. I don't think they need to be humbled.
Oh, interesting.
Jeff. I think they need to keep this ball rolling. And when we talk about humbled, right, are we necessarily talking about them, getting beat or blown out? Or what is a humbling in our opinion? I think that should be established first as a guideline. What's it mean if the Spurs get humbled? I'm looking at their upcoming games, right? You're going to go on the road. You're going to face the Warriors. You're going to face the Clippers. You're going to face Denver still to come. You got Denver twice, by the way.
Yep.
Two in the last 5 games or so. One on the road. Okay, let's say they do lose a tough one to Denver on the road, or even a tough one to the Clippers on the road. Is that going to be considered a humbling? In my opinion, Jeff, this team doesn't need to be humbled. They need to keep the ball rolling. It's a team, a core that has not been to the playoffs since 18 and 19. I want this team rolling on all cylinders. I don't need them losing 2 out of their last 3, 3 out of their last 4, whatever it might be. I want this to run as smooth as possible. Can they lose a game in these next, 7, 8, 9 games that they have left? Of course they can, Jeff.
Yeah.
But if they lose a competitive game at LA, at Denver, at Golden State, whatever it might be, then I'm going to be okay with that, because I do also believe, on the same token, that they need quality late game tight reps that they are going to coming up here in about 2.5 weeks. So no, I don't think there needs to be a humbling, so to speak. I want this machine to continue to roll and as efficient as possible before going into the playoffs.
Yeah, look, somebody's got to take the other side of the coin. I'll do that in a few seconds, but just to talk about how they should not be, or at least they don't need to be humbled.
Yeah.
Right now, to talk with James here, I do agree with you to that point. Yeah, why fix what's not broken? No, if it's working, let it keep on working. If your car is not broken down, why gonna take it in to get fixed and spend a lot of money and perhaps do things you don't need to do? So there's that. And also thing too, it is still a young core at its heart, and you never know. A nice haymaker in the last few games, and they go out for the count, maybe could kind of shock their confidence a little bit, and really just kind of shock them and perhaps see that train kind of derail. I doubt that would happen, but it's still a possibility. The other thing too, James, I want to bring up to you is this: why they don't need to be humbled is that perhaps they're that good, and even if they play their B game or their C plus game, they're just that good. And, it doesn't matter if it's Denver or Golden State or whoever's ahead of them the last few games. They're just going to just crush whoever's in front of them because they're that good. James, I know you're talking about why they should not be humbled, but even in that vein, are you a little worried about overconfidence?
That's a great question, right? Because a team that's overconfident heading in the playoffs, in my opinion, that could be a team that sees an exit in the first round if they don't take that first round opponent seriously enough. So there's a fine, delicate balance. Of course there is. You want to go in as a well-oiled machine, but you don't want to go in overconfident. It has to be a delicate balance. And that's because, Jeff, you and I have had our discussions on my show down here in Corpus, the Sunday Sports Rush, where we talk about the even-keeledness of Mitch Johnson. And how you mentioned just last week on my show, how Mitch is the same guy, whether it's win, lose, blowout, whatever it might be. He is the steady, keeps this thing moving forward, right? I think that's going to play a heavy role, the Mitch Johnson factor, and how he's been able to kind of keep this thing balanced, not get too high, not get too low. And then, of course, we talk about Wemby and his competitive nature. Wemby's going to want to try to get to 60 wins on the season. A lot of these guys have already been coming out and mentioning the number 60. It's been out there. Spurs Twitter is talking about the number 60. Could you imagine if this team went from, mid-30s last year, 35 wins, to 60, 61 wins?
My goodness.
That turnaround is incredible. It's something that I never foresaw coming. If you told me 1 year ago today that the Spurs would be in this position, Jeff, I might have laughed just a little bit at what you were saying. I would not have believed it. So, look, you got to be a little bit even keel. I think Mitch is going to help with that. But at the same time, you cannot overlook any opponents in the playoffs, man. We've seen it before. First round upsets can happen. It's all matchup dependent, but it's a young team. It's a young team that still needs to learn how to win a best-of-7 series.
Yeah, if you put money down taking the over on the Spurs win total projection to start the season, you may pocket some cash right now because Vegas had them winning, hovering on like around 42, 43. I think that was the max. And here they are knocking on 60. That's how good this team is. It goes back to my point. Maybe they're just that damn good. They're just that damn good. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if they're not playing on their A game, they're even a C plus game can just wax the Warriors or Denver or wherever it is. And let's not forget too, Spurs did beat Denver in their gym without Wemby and Castle. So
that's true.
That in mind. Exactly. We're talking with Mr. James Espinoza. You see him on your screen right there. He's with the Sports Rush out in Corpus Christi, 1440 Keys AM. He's going to brag about that in just a few minutes. We're talking about humility. The Spurs need a dose of humility. And look, one of us has got to take the good cop, bad cop side. I got to take the bad cop side here. Here's why I think they may need a little ounce of humility. Maybe they need to take one on the chin, is because one, maybe they need to be humbled in the sense like, hey, look, we're the big, bad, mighty Spurs. Defensive numbers are sky high. Offensive ratings are sky high, but we can lose at any time. And we need to be kind of, I wouldn't say put back in their place, but kind of realize that we're good, but we can be beaten in any day, any game, in a series. Doesn't matter if they're playing whoever survives from the play-in tournament or the advance, and it's, the Suns or the Wolves. It doesn't matter. They need to learn that, hey, you know what? Losing is part of this game. Shocker, everybody. They're probably not losing the playoffs. That's probably going to happen.
They're not going to sweep their way through the whole
street. Yeah, that's not going to happen. All right. So perhaps getting them used to losing right now, because as of this recording, they're on an 8-game winning streak right now. They're just rolling right now. The other thing too is this, and it kind of goes back to the confidence point here, and that's the fine line there. I agree with you, said like there is a fine line with confidence and then being overconfident. You don't want to get this team too confident, popping their collars. Just roll the ball out, Mitch. We're good. Wemby, yeah, we're good. Yeah, we're good. I'll go out. Yeah, who is it? Who do we get? Oh my God, the 8th seed in the play-in tournament. Yeah, we got this. And then, we're down 0-2 now. Whoopsie. So just to learning to bring them back down to earth, maybe even going back to basics in these last few games, just to fine-tune things. And what if they do lose one? Let's just say maybe it's not a haymaker, they're knocked out or, getting curb stomped. But let's just say it's down to the little things. Let's just say it's a close game. And Team X does the little things to get the win versus the Spurs in these next few games. Okay, fine. Where did we go wrong? Let's fix that. Let's try to fix that. Fine-tune. Hey, I'm not the only one who said it too. Mitch Johnson, after a game recently, said that this is not a perfect team. It's not. Then again, no NBA team is perfect. But hey, there are things to fix. 2, what did Wemby say after that game versus Phoenix? Or I think it was the Clippers. It was just a very close game. I think I got it here. I believe it was against Phoenix, correct? Where they barely won 101-100. And what did he say? We needed this.
Yes.
We needed to play a game like this. So even he's kind of reading between the lines. We need to be in a competitive type situation. James, your thoughts on the side of people saying, no, they need to take one on the chin or at least lose, just to bring him back down to earth a bit.
I agree with what Wemby said in that close win against Phoenix where he did hit the game winner, right? We needed to see them in a situation like that because come in, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, you get deeper into the playoffs. If this team were to get to a Western Conference final, right, and possibly play the Oklahoma City Thunder down the line, or maybe even the Nuggets in round 2, right? The way things are shaking out, the way it's projecting, this team will need to face some adversity like that. There's going to be a moment where Wemby's going to have the ball with 20 seconds left or so, and you're going to need the big guy to hit a shot, or you're going to need the big guy to make a play, to find a wide open shooter, or get to the hole, to get to the free throw line. So I agree in the aspect of you need to see competitive reps. You need to see high stakes type of reps. And I think it's kind of a blessing that the Spurs are still within reach of the Thunder for the number 1 seed, because that still gives them some competitive nature to finish the season strong, to possibly get that 1 seed. If they were way out of the race and, they were relatively ahead of the 3rd seed Lakers, which they are now, but let's say they were way behind the Thunder, then that might give the Spurs some incentive to maybe sit some guys or rest or not play all their cards the way they might normally play on a regular night. The fact that they're going to be able to try to chase down the 1 seed, I think that's going to build in competitive reps by nature and get them ready for the playoffs with their schedule to come. So I agree with that. I think you can be humbled without losing.
Okay.
I think you can be humbled in the sense that a team can outplay you and bring you down into the deep water. And then it's going to be up to the Spurs to see if they could sink or swim, right? In a situation like that. So I think you can be humbled in that respect.
We saw it recently. We mentioned the Phoenix game. That was a perfect example of what you're talking about. They won, but they realized, we can't be digging ourselves out of a double figure holes, moving forward. We can't do that.
And Phoenix could be a possible first round opponent for this team, depending on how the play-in shakes out. Right now, Phoenix is slated to be the 7th seed. So if things were to hold true, Phoenix gets out of the play-in, it could be Spurs and Suns round 1. which would be a pretty enticing round one series because there's been some close games between those two, historically speaking, and this year.
I bet you Phoenix fans are probably going to have PTSD when they say, oh, we're driving the Spurs and the playoffs, and then Duncan and then Ori, and then the hip check starts flashing through their brains right now. He is Mr. James Espinoza. Follow him on X at Sir Edward James. He's with 1440 Keys AM, host of the Sunday Sports Rush. He's going to brag about that in just a few minutes. Hey, but what do y'all think? Where do you land on this topic right now as the playoffs are coming in? Do the Spurs need to be humbled a little bit? Have a little humility? You need to take one on the chin and get beaten up? Or you think, no, they're fine. Let them be what they are. If there's curb-stomping teams, they're curb-stomping teams. Let James know on X, as mentioned, at Sir Edward James. Let me on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. Hey, James, you want to talk about Wemby?
Let's do it, man.
All right, let's talk about Victor Wembanyama. Now, in the recent NBA MVP ladder rankings, he came in number one. Number one. Another case, another point, another check of the box that maybe, just maybe, he could be hoisting that hardware at the end of the season or during the playoffs when they do present it. James, where do you land on the Wemby MVP debate? You're seeing many on pro Wemby. Yeah, he's going to get it. Give him to him right now. But you see the other side too. Like, nah, there's SGA. Look what he's doing. Don't. He's not out of yet. Luka, I guess, hanging on by a thread. In the conversation. But then of course there's Jaylen Brown with Boston. I mean,
yeah,
he could be interesting. But what do you think him ranking number one in the NBA.com MVP ladder does for his case?
Whenever you brought up this topic to me a little bit earlier, and the fact that Wemby's ranked number one on NBA.com, to me, that's a pretty big deal, man, because he had been like 2, he'd been 3 for relatively most of the season. It had been, SGA for the majority of it. And, in my opinion, man, Wemby impacts the game on so many other levels other than the offensive production. The defense, man, the defense alone has turned this team, and it, and the people who are going to watch and listen to this show know it, have made this team otherworldly in terms of what they currently are. He is just a force multiplier. He makes everybody better on that front. Mm-hmm. And then the fact that, you can look at his individual stats and what he's been able to do. It's immense what he's been able to do. 11 rebounds per game.
Absolutely.
The blocks have been absolutely insane for Wemby. This year, he's averaging just about a little bit over 3 blocks per game. So, to my opinion, an overall player, defensive mastermind. He can put up offense, averaging 24.2 points per game. Is it as much as the other guys? No, it's not offensively. But when you look at the total package, and he's ranked number one right now in that NBA.com poll, it makes sense to me that maybe some of these writers could be having some SGA fatigue, maybe some Jokic fatigue, and maybe they're ready to crown a new MVP of the league and a new face of the league. And you know what, man, whenever that award's handed out, it's not going to surprise me if it is Victor Wembanyama who does get that MVP award. And I think it would be much deserved, despite what some of the naysayers might say out there.
Well, I think a former NFL running back says he can't do it because he's not American, James.
Man.
Did you
catch that? I did catch that take.
Mr. McCoy, what's up, man?
Such a horrible take, man. I mean, look, dude. The face of the league does not have. You do not have to be an American to be the face of the league, man. I'm sorry, you just got to be the best player.
Yeah.
And this guy's global. He's global.
Yeah.
So even that,
And here's the thing, the
NBA.
Yeah, and here's the thing, James. The NBA is a globe. They intentionally wanted to be a global sport. They got basketball without borders. That people don't know that, but in Africa there is an NBA-ish league that the NBA sponsors and helps develop. Oh, by the way, there's games that they hold in France and Mexico, preseason, regular. Yeah, it's intentional. So yes, they probably love this, and the fact that McCoy went there,
I just think that's somebody who doesn't really watch the games. And look, man. The last American-born NBA player to win MVP. Do you know this, Jeff, offhand?
Tell me.
James Harden.
Look at that.
2017, 2018, the last American-born NBA player to win the MVP award.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think LaShawn McCoy's take is totally crap, to be fair, because this league has been dominated by foreigners, by the Euros, by everybody, and almost in the past decade, by the Canadians as well. You know, we have a Canadian MVP currently.
Yeah.
So, look, man, would it be cool to have an American-born MVP? Yeah, it would, but the league is not trying to do that. The league is a global game, and, man, that take was horrible, man.
Horrible. It was horrible. Yeah, just crumple it up and just kind of do a bank shot off your trash can in your office there. Yeah, but certainly back to Wemby and the NBA.com MVP ladder. No, I think that's huge for him. That is just huge. That's their own league, the league writer, the official league website saying this guy might be the real deal when it comes to the most valuable player. Now, I know a lot of people are talking about SGA as perhaps one of the bigger comps for Wemby there, and rightfully so. It's the Thunder. They're number one in the West, number one in the league.
Yeah,
they got a bigger plus minus than the Spurs. Straight to schedule, you kind of may have to factor that in. SGA and the Thunder have a tougher schedule to close out the season than the Spurs do. So I get that, but I think lurking behind the scenes is Jaylen Brown in Boston, man.
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think about that? About Jaylen?
I mean, he's been their number one guy, man.
No, man.
And now that, unfortunately, Cade Cunningham's going to miss some time due to that punctured lung, with the return of Jason Tatum as well to the Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown and company over there, they've done a fantastic job of just keeping that team up in the Eastern Conference standings consistently. And this could be another Celtics team that makes an NBA final, Jeff. So, look, we want to project a little bit ahead, right? If all things go right for the silver and black, it can maybe be Spurs Celtics in the finals. It would not surprise me in the least to see an NBA finals matchup like that, especially with the way that the Pistons most recently lost Cunningham, and who knows when he'll be back, and who knows how effective he'll be when he does come back. It's unfortunate for Cade Cunningham because he was having himself an amazing season, and he's a heck of a player to watch and all that good stuff. But, Jaylen Brown's been fantastic. I just don't know if I don't know if I could put him in that upper echelon, the Wembys, the SGAs, the Jokic's, and even the Luka Doncic.
Yeah. But ultimately, again, it needed to be noted that Wemby got that nod on the MVP ladder because he was always been hovering around 2. I think that's the highest he got before he got number 1. He'd been like 4. Then Cade drops out. That helps it, unfortunately, but it does help him boost up a bit.
I mean, when you're a dominant two-way player like Wemby, I mean, at some point, he's going to have his trophy case will be full of hardware. It'll be full of defensive player of the years. He will get an MVP one day, someday. Maybe the time is now, Jeff. Maybe they are recognizing, hey, where this team has come to where they are now, especially if they were to eclipse the 60 win total. I think that would just be the ultimate statement as, wow, this guy in year 3 has already ascended to the top in terms of players in the NBA, a top 3 player at minimum in the NBA. I think the writers might recognize that this year. I have a really good feeling that he might be crowned MVP.
Yeah, I think Wemby's trophy case still won't match James Espinoza's trophy case. I think it won't catch up to what you have done in your career. But yeah, it's gonna be crowded. He's gonna have a crowded show. But here's the thing, too. That's what always gets me upset about this when they say like, "Oh, Wemby shouldn't be MVP because it's not his time yet. He's his career just began." But if he's the best damn player in the NBA, he's the best player in the NBA. Just give it him. Who cares if he's a rookie? If he was a rookie and he's just wrecking shop, then he deserves to be the MVP. If the numbers and the record and the team play reflects it, so be it. So I don't buy that argument. Well, he's just in his 3rd year and it's too soon for him. He'll get his one day. No. If it's his now, it should be his now. Let him have it. But ultimately, no. I think it's going to be a close race. I think it's ultimately going to come down to SGA and Wemby. But if Wemby and the Spurs get the number 1 seed,
do you think the voters? Do you think the voters would look at the head-to-head between the Spurs and Thunder this year in terms of like a deciding factor? If it is really neck and neck between SGA and Wemby, do you think they look and say, well, the Spurs got the best of them 3 times. The Spurs did this to them in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
and they look at what Wemby did, how he performed against that Thunder team in this critical moments. Do you think that could be a possible deciding factor, Jeff?
I think it'd be a factor. But if they're going to go that route, then they can also see, well, the Spurs beat the Thunder with half their bench in the last meeting. Well, they played a game without SGA. Well, SGA and the Thunder played against the Spurs without Wemby. And then there's nitpicking to that level.
I guess we have to do the what-isms about
Yeah.
that for sure.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, I think it's going to be a close race. I think it's probably one of the closest voting we're going to see in a while. And I do believe it comes down to SGA versus Wemby for that crown. And guess what? Shocker, everybody. They're both foreign-born players. One's Canadian, one's French. It shouldn't matter, McCoy.
Shouldn't matter, man. If you can ball, you can ball, dude.
Absolutely. He is Mr. James Espinoza. You see him on your screen right now. Why don't you give him a follow over on X at Sir Edward James. He's at 1440 Keys AM out in Corpus Christi, the Sunday Sports Rush. He's
holding it down for Corpus, baby. All the Corpus fans down here. Corpus is a hotbed for Spurs, dude. I'm telling you right now, this city loves the Spurs. And I get a lot of, we like the Rockets down here too. You'll see some Rocket shirts down here. Some. But whenever it's playoff time, back in the heyday, even in the lean years, these past 3 or 4 years, you're still seeing Spurs watch parties happen across bars here.
Oh, nice.
So I didn't know that. This has always been a Spurs town, a Spurs city, and I'm here in Corpus to rep the Spurs as hard as I can and talk some Spurs. So yeah, go ahead and give me a follow, man. You'll get all my takes on Spurs basketball and some more, and some Cowboys and some Astros.
He does it all, everybody.
You name it.
He does it all. He doesn't just stick to one team. He can do everything. And pick a league, he'll probably talk about that. Hey, James, you want to get a little nerdy with me for a while?
Let's do it, man.
Nerd! All right, it's that fun time of every episode where we get a little nerdy here on Spurs in Focus. Shouldn't be a shocker. Just look behind me, everybody. I mean, duh. But anyway, so I asked James before we recorded this episode. I said, James, if you're not into that genre, no problem. We just move on after we talk Wemby and go on. But no, to my surprise, James actually perked up. He goes like, no, Jeff. He goes, am a bit of a nerd when it comes to sci-fi, but not just. Oh no, he didn't mention movies to me, but particularly they get this. And this would be cool. Books. Yes. He loves science fiction books.
Yep.
So we're getting a little nerdy with sci-fi books for a little bit. I'll probably interject some movie talk because some of the books do have movie tie-ins. So, James, if this is a first-time sci-fi person that they want to get into the genre, what are give me your 3 books that this person has to read to get into the genre?
Okay, I'm pulling one out right now from my shelf.
And a very beautiful shelf you have there with all those beverages and food.
Yeah, a lot going on there for special occasions, hopefully for some playoff wins and wins to come. I would say if you want to get into the genre, my first book up would be, it's called Red Rising by Pierce Brown. It's the first book of a trilogy, the Red Rising trilogy. Pretty much, man, this is a space epic. You're going to be traveling to different planets. There's going to be different types of cultures. There's war involved. There's struggle between what you could call a poor society going up against a rich elite society and how they have to climb the ranks and fight through all that. It's really good. The writing's great. The action scenes are amazing. And the dialogue is pretty hilarious. This is a nice, easy, comfortable read for somebody who might just be getting into sci-fi. So this is like a beginner, kind of like a beginner sci-fi book, and it's a trilogy as well. So if you get hooked, you'll probably enjoy book 2, and then of course book 3 of the Red Rising trilogy. I got another one, man. If you don't mind,
go for it.
All right, so this is actually an older book, and it's been adapted into a movie already, but it's Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game.
Oh, yes.
This is a classic. We're talking about Earth trying to fight off an alien civilization. It's the coming-of-age story of young boys and how they're trained to be militarized and how eventually they're trained to leave Earth and all this stuff. It's a great coming-of-age story. It's another space epic, and it's Earth trying to fight off alien civilizations, man. I'm telling you, I get I get pretty deep into this, Jeff. I'm a little bit deep here.
I believe the movie even had Captain Solo in it.
It did.
Harrison Ford.
He was in it, man. And the movie's pretty good as well. The book's pretty great. So another one here. This one has to deal with futuristic, post-apocalyptic in a sense.
Cool.
It has to deal with androids. And this is also a book that was made in the 60s. It's called Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Pretty much what it means to be human. There's a lot of philosophical questions in this one. What it means to be human. Do these androids actually feel? Do they deserve rights? There's a lot going on there. A lot of a gray area between android and human, and what's what and what's real and who can you trust. It's about a bounty hunter who hunts these androids down, but of course, as you can imagine, maybe starts to have a little bit of questioning of why he's actually hunting down these androids. So it's a test of what we feel as humans, humanity, compassion, and should these androids deserve compassion like that?
There you go. 3 books you need to get into if you're going to dive into the science fiction world.
Absolutely.
And, those 3 are their go-to. A couple of follow-up questions here regarding that. You mentioned, Ender's Game, how's turned into a movie. And, even before we hit record on this episode, you mentioned, Project Hail Mary, and that's now a movie there. The one science fiction book I read that then turned into a movie that I was very disappointed in was Ready Player One.
Oh,
Ready Player One.
Okay.
I was disappointed in that. I remember I fell in love with the book. I could not put it down. I felt, the chases, the hunt, the mapping, looking for this object, the keys, and all that stuff. I felt the movie cut that out. Now, Steven Spielberg did a great job at capturing the essence of it, because actually the book is just a love letter to the 80s. That's pretty much what it is. And Steven Spielberg did a great job on that. But if you go to the book, I remember anticipating, there's no way they're going to cut out, this chapter of the book. And it was gone. So that was one book that I wasn't saying it was a total fail, but I was like, what did you do? You messed it up a little bit.
Yeah. So this is one of those cases where I saw the movie and I haven't read the book, but I'm curious to maybe read the book because, like you're saying, Jeff, I do hear the book is pretty well done for Ready Player One.
It is so well done. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s, and when I read the book, I was like, oh my god, the homages to Star Wars, the homages to the video games, Donkey Kong, Pac-Man, all that stuff, and and like you said, Spielberg captured it, but it just could have had just a little bit more,
man.
See a little more punch.
It's almost like what's happening now with the old Harry Potter films and the newer Harry Potter show that's going to come out, which the show is supposed to be able to adapt more of the book than what the films are able to capture. So there's this big debate online of, do we really need this new show, or we still have the movies? I know we didn't mean to talk about this, but in my opinion, I think the show could be useful because it's able to cover more source material. Just a quick Harry Potter take for those of you who care about the new Harry Potter show coming out. I'm also a Potter nerd. I'm a Star Wars guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just real into that stuff, man. I've always been into it. Video games, I play some video games here and there, but man, I'm a sci-fi dude, man. If it's sci-fi, I'm most likely going to be in on this, and I'll have some opinions on it as well.
I was ready in case James got a little unruly here at Spurs in Focus, because I was ready with my lightsaber.
Oh,
just in case.
So my family and I we're going to Disney this summer.
Oh, I know what you're gonna do.
Oh, you already know I'm gonna make my own lightsaber. You already know it.
Yeah, I know you are. I wish I could do that too. Never done that.
I hear it's amazing.
I hear, yeah. I've seen videos of it on YouTube, and they really try to recreate the construction of it. And I knowing my nerd butt, I'll be like, just now, just give it to me now. I just want it in my hands. He is Mr. James Espinoza. He is with the Sunday Sports Rush over on 1440 Keys AM. James, why don't you brag about that? Tell us why people should be tuning in.
Yeah, so I mean, look, we're a weekly show. I'm a teacher throughout the week here at Corpus, so I teach. We're a weekly show. It's me, it's my buddy Aiden Ducker, it's my buddy Jerry Plemons. We got a cast of characters that come on. Jeff included in that cast of characters who we talk to from time to time. But you should listen to the show because it's a weekly wrap-up show, and we're not afraid to give our opinions on the topics of the day, the topics of the morning. We're not afraid to dive into what's happening with all of the local sports teams. We talk about the Spurs extensively. We'll talk Cowboys. We'll talk Texans, Astros, Longhorns, Aggies. We try to hit all of Texas. We try to be Texas-centric, but we'll hit those national spots as well, those national storylines. But the thing about our show is, man, we're just a bunch of guys who love talking sports. We've been friends with each other for years, and I feel that comes off when you listen to us. Absolutely. And I feel after you listen to our show, I think you'll have an appreciation for some of the rawness that we have of it and some of the takes that we're not afraid to give. We have to play it safe, of course. We're on radio. We're governed by the FCC, right? But, I mean, we do a pretty professional job of delivering our message, and I feel that the sports fan would enjoy our show, man. So Sunday Sports Rush, you can find us. We are podcast form as well. Apple, Spotify, iHeart, you name all the different podcast platforms. We're there, but we're live every Sunday on News Talk KEYS 1440 AM 98.7 FM. We're online, 1440keys.com and on the 1440 Keys app. And if you follow me on Twitter at Sir Edward James, you'll be seeing that. I post it every week when we're coming up, when our shows happen, all that good stuff. So I'd appreciate the follow, and y'all guys give us a listen, man. You won't be disappointed.
That's why he's the man. That's why he's the man. He's Mr. James Espinoza. Again, I want to just repeat that again. Follow him on X, everybody, at Sir Edward James. Do that right now, because if you need to get a little break from Spurs talk, want to talk just general sports or whatnot, he's the guy you want to go to and talk all things.
I'm going to be here for all the Spurs, man. I'm like all you Spurs fans who are here on Spurs in Focus, who have been following Jeff for years. Get with me, man. Follow me.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, Jeff, me and you could do this some more here in the future.
Oh, yo, now you're in trouble. Now you're in my wheelhouse. So you're like, oh, God bless it. Jeff's texting me again. Oh, he wants me on his
recurring guest.
Yeah, I know. Like, I guess, Jeff. Sure, why not?
That's not what you probably are when we reach out to you. Like, that's not. I guess I'll join this show in corporate.
No. Every time y'all reach out to me, I'm like, what took them so long? My feelings are getting hurt. Follow on it. It's everybody at Sir Edward James. James, appreciate taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're a busy man, but again, I really, really appreciate your time and joining us here at Spurs in Focus. Everybody else, we thank y'all for making Spurs in Focus your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Follow us on YouTube. Go subscribe right now. iTunes, Spotify. What else you got? Oh, yeah, you got Pocket Cast, YouTube podcast. No excuse for you to not catch an episode of Spurs in Focus. But again, you want to go to the Substack as well. Spurs in Focus over at Substack. Completely free. Yeah, I don't charge anybody. I don't do that stuff. Just go, sign up, get yourself a subscription. Again, free. We'll be back. Let's see. We might be back tomorrow. It might be a bonus episode tomorrow. I think I'm going to chase down a guest to see if we get a Wednesday episode here at Spurs in Focus. So for Mr. James Espinoza, I am your host, Jeff Garcia, and now you're in focus with Spurs in Focus.